Snooker fans, welcome to the 15 Red podcast. This is our 22nd episode on this Tuesday, the 9th of March 2021. We have two of us here tonight. Myself, Scott McCarter in County Tyrone here in Northern Ireland, and Mike in Vancouver, Canada. Good morning to you, Mike.
Morning, Scott. How are you?
Very well indeed, thank you. Graham is not available tonight, but he'll be back with us, God willing, on Thursday when we have our guest, the renowned coach, Mr. Chris Henry. So the three of us will be back for that at 6 o'clock on Thursday evening. A relatively brief programme this evening, but we hope to try and pack a good amount of content into the next 30 minutes or so. And Mike has an update on the Pro Series that resumed today.
Yep, Group J started their action, and currently they're not finishing the group. But right now, Oliver Lyons and James Cahill are the top two seeds in the group, and that's about it. Right now, they're going to be resuming again at 6:30. And then again at 8 o'clock, and that will complete the group's action.
So, and how many, what are the win-loss records in the group so far for the top two?
Okay, so Oliver Lyons and James Cahill have 4 wins.
They've played 4 matches, haven't they?
Yeah, they've played 4 matches, and they've won all 4. And then Elliot Slessor's played 5 matches, along with Martin Gould. And then Gilbert, Boyko, Burns, and Lyons have all played 4. So one matchup's played 5.
Yeah. So. The WST Pro Series, I should just explain how that works. You have a series of groups of 8 players, and the top 2 players from each group advance to the second group stage, where you have another set of groups, and the top 2 players from each group in the second stage advance to a final group, and the winner of that final group wins the entire event, and the winner will be crowned on the 21st of March, I believe. So
yep, that is correct. Yep, 21st of March, right before the right before the Tour Championship.
Yes, we'll keep you up to date, because if either Jordan Brown or Zhou Yulong win the £20,000 in the WST Pro Series, they will replace Barry Hawkins as the 8th player and therefore Judd Trump's opponent in the Tour Championship.
Exactly.
So that's an interesting little subplot to keep our eyes on throughout the next 2 weeks or so.
Correct. Yep. Absolutely.
I believe then, Mike, you've got some follow-up on our conversation with Gareth Allen from yesterday.
Yeah, I was just wondering, after a very good, what was your biggest takeaway from it?
Well, my biggest takeaway from the very successful interview that we had with Gareth yesterday, and our thanks once again to Gareth for agreeing to come on, was his advice to young players. He was saying, you've got to be dedicated, you've got to put in the hard work. And remember the question I asked, and he talked then about Chinese players and this academy that Ding has got in Sheffield, with Chinese players going in and playing for 12 or 13 hours a day. That's the sort of graft that you have to put in for proper success at this game. And
yeah, that seemed absurd. That seemed like a really, really heavy personal investment. Like 7 days a week, 12 hours a day. Like, yeah, that's more than a job. Like, that is really hard graft.
And then, like, remember what he was saying about what it's like at Q School and down the lower ranks? He said Q School, you're playing hundreds of frames and hundreds of matches for what, 7 or 8, 10 or 12 tour cards. When you've got 200 or 300 players going for 12 tour spots for the following season. So it's a brutal game down the lower end. But if you stick at it, you will eventually get the results. I know, obviously, for financial reasons, Gareth couldn't stick at it. But if you do stick at it, you will eventually get the results.
There was also a very subtle comment at the end when he was talking about he had bought his house, and he was saying that he couldn't pay for it for the scratchings that snooker pays. I know it was a very subtle comment, but
yeah,
it just shows you that really at the grassroots level now, it's just not appealing in any sense of the word. Like it's just
no.
He's 32 and he's retired. Like if it was even if it was half good, he would probably consider playing. But he's absolutely written it off because it's so bad at the lower levels. Like it's just so unappealing,
I know.
So yeah, I was surprised by that, and I would, to follow that, it just seems like to your point on the Chinese players, it seems like they're just set up better for success. I know they've got to put in the hours, but if you look on a global scale, they've got academies everywhere. They study it. They take the game far more seriously than his current state in the UK. The UK.
I know.
So very.
I've said before, and obviously the two are directly comparable because we in the United Kingdom have a far inferior population. We've less people, just as a point of fact, in the United Kingdom than the Chinese do. But the point has got to be made that the Chinese are going through what we went through in the 80s. I mean, you'll remember that before you moved to Canada in the 80s,
oh yeah,
it was everywhere on British television, and kids were taking the game up. I mean, we talk about the fabled class of '92, Ronnie, John, and Mark, but their amateur careers would have been forged in the 1980s when when everybody's playing the game. I mean, they're all three of them the same age. All three of them were born in 1975, so they would have been about 5 in 1980. So, most of their formative snooker memories would have been of, that boom in the 1980s in the UK, and the Chinese players are going through exactly the same thing now.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more with you. It's definitely taken off there. So with all what we've just kind of hashed over, and do you believe there will be a day where the World Snooker Championship will be played overseas after what we just kind of hashed over?
Not in my lifetime.
Okay, expand.
Well, bear in mind that I will be 23 on my next birthday. Okay. Therefore, I hope that I have a significant portion of life in front of me, if the good Lord spares me. And I think that in that period, the World Championship will not move.
Okay, so just to play devil's advocate with you.
Yes.
I agree with what you said about the boom over in China, and we have 29 players on tour currently, and there's probably more coming down the pipeline, I would imagine.
Yes.
I would say on a temporary basis, if let's use Yan Bintao as an example, say he wins a World Championships at some point, maybe there is a possibility that they play on a single tournament basis or World Championships outside of the UK. Now, I'm not saying it'll be a permanent thing. I've got to be clear. I'm not saying it's permanently relocating, but I can see a day where maybe a single World Championships is played outside of the UK.
Well, look, you can never be certain.
No,
of these things.
Have these discussions.
But I simply, think that the Crucible, even for the Chinese players, like even for them, they know what the Crucible means. Like, do you remember when Ding got to the final in 2016?
Correct. Yes.
215 million people got up at 1 o'clock in the morning to watch that in Sheffield when he was playing in the World Finals.
But I think you're making my point, though, Scott. You are making my point very clearly. 250 million people are watching. That's why I do believe on a temporary basis there will be a day. I'm not going to use lifetime analogies, but there will be a day where there will be a World Championships played maybe on a 1-year deal, like it was in Australia in 71 and 75. There will be a WSC played outside of the UK. I believe that. Because
no,
just said, because of the popularity and the numbers.
Yeah, well, it could, right, it could happen, right? I'm going to say this. It could happen, but let us be both clear, we would not want it to move outside of the Crucible.
Absolutely correct. I am not advocating for it. The question was, do you think it would happen? And I'm saying I think it would happen. I believe.
Well, at least it won't happen for the next 6 years because the Crucible have a contract up until 2027, which will be the 50th anniversary. So,
and on top of that, I think it's going to take like an Asian player, maybe a Yan Bintang or Zhou Yulong, or someone would have to win the World Championships to then kind of go down that road. To even be considered, I would have to say. And until that point, which doesn't look like it's going to be anytime soon, then it's not going to happen for sure.
Because look, we discussed earlier off air. It's 39 days, believe it or not, until what I call in snooker terms the annual pilgrimage begins.
Yeah, I like that analogy. That's a good one.
It's like it's like somebody going to visit the site of the crucifixion or something. It's that significant for snooker players. It really is.
Absolutely. Yeah, you can know it's always talked about and in glowing form.
I mean, and look at this too. Some of the great moments in sport, never mind snooker, have taken place in that room.
Oh boy, you're taking this deep. This is going a long way, Scott, in sports.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you wouldn't object to me saying that, surely?
No, absolutely not. Of course not.
I mean, you think of 1985, the classic example.
Yeah.
But you think of, Stephen Hendry winning 7 world titles, Ronnie O'Sullivan winning 6, John Higgins with 4, Mark Williams coming back to win his 3rd after a 15-year gap.
Yep.
And the one common thread with all these, from John Spencer in 1977 to Ronnie O'Sullivan last year, it's all been at the Crucible.
Absolutely, but before the Crucible, the World Championships was also still played in various locations.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, the World Championship, the trophy, we talk about 2027 being obviously the 50th anniversary of it being at the Crucible, but 2027 will be the 100th anniversary of the first World Championship.
Exactly. So,
in 1927. So, but there's so much history there. And do you notice this, Mike? I know we're veering off topic to some extent here, but do you see, as a statistician, the thing I like about the World Championship is this: the World Championship is the only tournament where you have sort of individual stats, if you like. We talk about somebody's Crucible record. We don't talk about their German Masters record, with all due respect to the fans in Berlin, but we talk about their Crucible record because the World Championship and the Crucible, it's so synonymous. So it could move, but not in my lifetime. That's my final word on it.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, and I get the whole concept of the Crucible record, and it's the ultimate measuring stick of the players. They all talk about it ad nauseum about playing there, the history and the nostalgia and all of that kind of stuff. But I think again, as you said, it's been around 100 years. Only half of that was at the Crucible. So to think that forever and a day that the World Championships would only be played there, even due to issues such as renovations or doing something to the building. I'm not saying it will permanently leave there. I'm certainly not saying, I certainly hope it doesn't. But to think that maybe if Ding Junhui was to win a world crown, maybe does that drive it to that? But I mean, for me, it will happen, but it would only happen on the grounds of a Chinese player winning the World Championships, and of course, if the money is there, if they can play in a bigger arena, comfortable. I mean, for 1 year, I could absolutely see it happening. So, but anyway, excellent conversation. I like our look on it. It's a well formulated discussion.
And we are agreed that it shouldn't move. We're only dealing in hypotheticals here.
I agree that I don't want it to go somewhere else. I'm certainly not advocating for it.
No, because I know you haven't been, Mike, but I would recommend, if and when we can sort of travel about again, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I would go if you can, because it is just, it's tremendous to be there and to realise that you're in the same arena where all that history took place, where Hendry won his 7 world titles, where O'Sullivan made his maximum break in 5 minutes, where
but Davis played in the 60s.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff. Yeah, and absolutely, I definitely want it. It's on my list of things to do, for sure.
Yeah, so, it's tremendous.
Yeah.
What have you got next for us then?
So, I was looking through the online newspapers and stuff, and also looking back through our episodes.
Yeah.
And I've come to realize that we haven't given Judd Trump nearly the credit and respect that he deserves.
Quite right.
I believe we've and myself, when he lost 2 tournaments, we all thought, oh, what's going on? Because we expect him to win everything and blow everyone out. When he lost tournaments in a row, I thought, oh, that doesn't look right. But I mean, if you look at the numbers for Judd Trump over the last 2 years, he's won 14 ranking titles in 28 months, or 14 of 36 events, which is a win rate of 39%. Before that, he'd only won 8 tournaments in 13 years.
Yeah.
So his 2-year window has been absolutely dominating.
Yeah.
There's only 2 other guys to do a stronger, 3 other guys. Stephen Hendry, he had a strike rate of 60% between 1989 and 1991.
He won 5 ranking events in a row in the 1990-1991 season.
Correct, exactly. Then Steve Davis won 18 of 31 events between 1983 and 1988, 58%. And Ray O'Sullivan, from 2017 to 2019, he won 8 of 18 ranking events for a 44% win rate. Now, let's be clear here. This guy has been absolutely lights out, and he's only in his early 30s.
He's 31. He's 31 years of age.
And he's already tied with Mark Williams for 5th all-time in ranking event wins. 5th.
22.
22, exactly.
And he's only got Steve Davis on 28. John Higgins on 31,
Yeah.
Stephen Hendry on 36,
Yep.
and Ronnie O'Sullivan on 37.
So there's a very real with the amount of tournaments and the way these ranking events are thrown around. There's a very real chance Judd Trump is going to have 40 ranking event wins before he's 40. Like, who would have thought that, man? Like, seriously.
Yeah, now bear in mind, O'Sullivan's not going anywhere because he has been in 4 finals. He just hasn't won one.
True, but at the moment, Judd Trump, he has what, five ranking events this year?
5 this season, 6 last season, and 3 the season before that.
And at the moment, there doesn't look like there's going to be much slowdown. Let's say he does. Let's give him 4, and he plays for 10 more years. There's another 40 ranking events. Now I know it's easy to say it that way, but there's a very good chance he's going to have a very high number of ranking event wins going when he retires. Like, his stats. Like,
yeah, and I mean, as well, he's made 70 centuries this season.
Yep.
He had 102 last season,
Yep.
and 84 the season before that.
Yep. To be honest with you, I think there's only 2 records that he has no chance of beating. Only 2 records. One of them is the 29 consecutive wins at the World Championships held by Stephen Hendry.
At the Crucible, yeah.
He will not break that. That looks all.
No.
And the second, what was the second one? No, the
7 world titles.
World crowns. Yeah, the 7 world crowns. That one looks like that could be a tough one because he's only got 1. So
yeah,
he would 6 more.
And if Ronnie was to win it, he would tie it. So
yeah, so I would say those are the only 2 records I don't see Judd Trump breaking.
But how many centuries has he got? Have you got his centuries figure there?
I can bring him up 1 second. I think he's in.
He's in 3rd place.
Yeah, I know he's up there.
Go on to Wikipedia. That gives the most accurate centuries figure.
So he has 779.
7.
He's
What's that? Yeah.
Oh, okay, here we go. Oh, it doesn't say. It had 779 on his little profile photo. I don't know if that's updated though or not.
Yeah, well that would be right.
Yep, 779 is what it says.
Well, he should get to 800 this season then.
Oh yeah, he's got 21 and he's got 3 more events, so he should. He should easily have 1,000 centuries by his 36th birth, 5 more years from now.
There's an interesting little sort of statistical debate.
Okay.
Who finishes with more, O'Sullivan or no? First of all, will Ronnie get 1,500?
He's at what, 10, almost 3 short of 1,100, right?
Yeah.
So 1,500. He seems like he's playing a fair amount, so I think it's going to be close. I would say probably if it's something that he wants to do, he'll do it. I would say if it's something.
Yeah.
But if it's something that's kind of a whatever type of stat, then maybe not. But I think if he wants it, he can do it. But I mean, who knows?
But Trump will definitely finish with more by the end of his career because he's younger and
without any question.
Everything.
Like,
no, but I have to agree with you. I mean, we look back, and I do this as sort of snooker statistician all the time. We look back at certain matches in players' careers as turning points.
Yep.
And that 2018 Northern Ireland Open, before that, the first of the 3, before that, first Northern Ireland Open that he won, right?
The one where he
Trump
went down?
didn't won a ranking event for 13 months.
Yeah, exactly. That was the one where he came from behind to win.
Yeah, he was 7-6 down, he won 9-7.
Yes, that's the one. Yes, I agree with you. That was his turning point.
Yeah, and then of course, I know the Masters isn't a ranking event, but don't forget, he led O'Sullivan 7-1 after the first session of the Masters final.
I would say that was his greatest session of snooker so far. That 7.
Well, what about the 2019 World Final against John Higgins?
Okay, but at that point he was already like really well up there. I would say that session at the Masters for me, I was like, because it was so unexpected.
Yeah.
When you play Ronnie O'Sullivan, how many times do you beat Ronnie O'Sullivan? Like 7 out of 8 frames in one session. Like, I don't know. I mean, he was fantastic against John as well, because he hadn't won a world championship at that point. But that's at the Masters combined with the Northern Ireland, and at that time, I would argue Ronnie was still at the top of his game.
Yeah, but I say, do you see that? World Championship final? That actually set a record for the most centuries in any professional match.
Yeah, they were going back and forth with the century blows, huh?
11.
11. Wow, 11. And it was what, 27 frames?
18-9.
Yeah, 27 frames, and 11 of them were centuries. Wow.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And like John only won 9 frames, but he still made 4.
Yeah, that's craziness, man. But that all being said, that passage of play from the Northern Ireland and then the Masters and the World Championships, that's where he legitimately became the best player in the sport. Legitimately.
Yeah.
Unquestionably.
But I mean, that and I think as well, the fact that he beat O'Sullivan in that Northern Ireland Open final.
Yeah.
If you actually look at their head-to-head, because I knew we'd obviously sort of be talking about Judd after Gibraltar and stuff, but you know, if you look at Judd's record against O'Sullivan now, it's 13-12 in matches, but 7-3 in finals. The Judd Trump.
Yeah, that I found that to be quite surprising, to be honest with you.
And who's the only player that has a better record against O'Sullivan in finals?
Who is the only player to have a better record than Ronnie O'Sullivan in finals?
To have a better record in finals against Ronnie than Judd.
Oh, okay. Sorry, yes. Yeah, I was surprised when I saw 7-3 for Judd. I must.
Yeah, but who's the only player with a better record?
I'm not sure. You'd have to tell me.
John
Higgins. Oh, yeah, that makes sense, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, because he's beat him 8 times out of 18 finals.
Right, because they played the most.
Yeah.
Finals. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's yeah. But yeah, I think collectively both Graham, you and myself, we haven't shed him the love that he should be getting, because he's just a fantastic player. Period.
I know I described in my broadcast episode 19 that I did on my own there.
Okay.
When was that? Saturday I did it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I sort of touched on him and I said that I sort of compared him to Hendry, because it's the sort of dominance that it's not just, you know, the fact he's winning everything, but it's the style that he's winning it in.
Absolutely correct. Yep. Yeah, he's been
like. Do you realize in that Gibraltar Open, albeit there were short matches, but he only lost 3 frames in the whole tournament.
I know. And also the fact that he's thrashing his best friend, Jack Lazowski, in all these finals. He's just trouncing him. Like,
yeah.
Not even close. Just blowing him out.
10-7, 9-2, and 4-0.
Exactly. So that just shows you he's got that Hendry instinct, that ruthless winner.
He's got to be favourite for Sheffield, surely.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that'll be an interesting discussion for another day. I mean, on performance, you've got to go Judd, John, and then maybe Ronnie at 3, and then Mark.
Yeah.
And then Mark Selby, he's won 2 trophies this year.
Yeah, I know.
So, but I mean, that can change quickly. But yeah, no, Judd Trump for me, as Gareth Allen said, he'd put a Canadian dollar on him to win.
I know. But at the same time, of course, the world. Can we just sort of discuss the World Championship as a sort of the format and the long matches?
Sure.
Why is that so compelling, do you think?
Why is it so compelling? I think because it's over. It's well, after the first round, it's multiple sessions. So it's not like, say, Gibraltar or the best of 11s where it's done and it's over with. A lot of instances, you're going to play have an overnight lead, or it's and there's very little luck. We talk about flukes, but in a long match, very, very rarely is it done on a fluke, or you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know obviously the semi-final between McGill and Wilson, but that's a 1-100 match. That
Yeah.
the way that finished.
I think there's some type of psychology involved where you play these they talk about it on the TV, the mini sessions,
Yeah.
and you've just got to win your mini session and then let it.
Yeah, I'd love to ask if we can get Dave Hendon on probably next week. I'd love to ask him about that because he always says in commentary, like when you're at the World Championship, it's the waiting around between sessions, and it's when you have an overnight 5-3 lead or an overnight 6-2 lead, and you're sitting there thinking, right, I've got him. Sure, you could come out the next day and play the second session, be absolutely terrible.
Yep, and that I think that's what makes it so interesting, because it's a different day, different set. Yeah, no, I it's too bad. It's the only tournament that's structured that way. Everything else is like a one-day final. Like the Sunday would be a best of 19, or
yeah. Well, the Tour Championship does have multi-session matches, obviously.
Yes, but
no,
but not to the same structure of a World Championships.
No, but it's just I gotta say this, and I'm gonna incur the wrath of like a lot of other sports fans out there. But see of like annual sporting events, I think it's the best one.
Oh, without question, that's a no-brainer.
Now we may be biased, of course, but
I mean, okay, let's take
Wimbledon
tennis for an example. Like they play a fair amount, but it's all like one match, one day.
Yeah.
Like there's no final is spread over 2 days. I'm not familiar.
Well, unless of rain delays and things.
I must confess, I'm not familiar with golf or some of these other individual sports. So please, somebody explain how it works. But strictly from a snooker standpoint, this is the most compelling sporting event you can watch.
I know.
It's better than boxing or MMA or any of these like individual combat sports.
Yeah.
Well,
it's actually 1 day longer. The 17 days at Sheffield is 1 day longer than the Olympic Games.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah, it is. Yeah, never.
And it's the second longest annual sporting event.
Is it?
After what? What's longer?
The longest sporting event. You have to tell me. You've got
the Tour de France.
Very good, sir. I like it. Yeah, correct.
So it's the second longest annual sporting event after the Tour de France.
Yeah, very good. That's a good little tricky little trivia question.
I know, but that shows you how much of a mental endurance test it is for them.
Exactly. And in some ways, when we talk about the players from, say, 5 through the rest of the field, there's only four or five players that can really do the 17-day grind. Let's be fair.
Yeah.
Like we know the 4 or 5 players that we're talking about. Like the chance of an upset, like an absolute shock in one match, is possible. It's capable.
James Cahill, for instance.
Exactly. But somebody to shock win the World Snooker Championships, come on, man. That really.
Well, there's a compelling argument to say the last genuine shock was 1986.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I would agree with you. I've referenced that before. Joe Johnson.
I mean, Graham Dott wasn't expected to win it in 2006, but he had got to the final before.
Correct. Yep. No, I agree. When we talked about Jordan Brown's run in Wales, I compared it to Joe Johnson's World Championship run. Do you remember? I said, that's how far back. And I would say Jordan Brown's one's even more historic because he was ranked 81 or something.
81 in the world he was.
Exactly. So.
Whereas Joe was inside the top 16 just because he'd been getting far enough in tournaments, but he hadn't won anything.
But it goes to show you specifically, well, in most sports, I would say, but definitely in snooker, that the cream rises to the top.
Yeah.
What I mean?
It does.
Yeah, there's very.
It does. I mean, this is probably my favourite stat mastery of snooker. I've repeated it so many times. But how do you win 5 in a row?
Yeah.
Like, how did Stephen do that?
Yeah, like I referenced that earlier. I think there's 29 consecutive matches and 5 world championships consecutively. That's not being broken.
No, I don't mean to sound morbid, but I think when Stephen leaves this mortal realm, I think that'll be the only record he holds.
Yeah, I think the field's too strong now. The field, like by and large, if you take the whole field, the field strength is much stronger than when he was doing it. Like, he was a great winner and all that, but I just don't think that. I don't think Trump's capable of winning 5 consecutive. Ronnie hasn't done it.
No.
Don Higgins, Mark Williams, like we can go on and on, but that record looks as cemented as any.
I know.
Right.
I mean, it's so exciting to think about. I know we've got the Pro Series Mature Championship to go yet, but it's coming. We're literally about 6 weeks away now.
Yeah, well, we'll be tuning in once qualifying starts. I think it starts like a week before. So, and then we obviously will be running a stream when the draw's being made. We should be all over that.
Yeah,
that's the draw's just as compelling as some of the matches.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
And hopefully, I. Before the championship, we'll be able to purchase a copy of the Crucible Almanac.
Oh, excellent! That sounds great. Yeah.
That has all the.
You got it, or you're going to get it? Is that what you said?
I'm going to get it when the new one goes to the printers.
Oh yes, perfect.
Because obviously the stats have to be updated every year, so therefore a new one has to be produced every year. So I'm hoping to be able to get a copy of that before things start, and then I can brush up on my Crucible trivia.
Oh, you better send Graham and I a copy of it because we are way behind.
Well, with that, I think, will that do us?
That's perfect. That was a great episode. Good conversation, sir.
Yep.
All right.
And we will see you on Thursday, God willing, with Chris Henry.
Excellent stuff. Have a good one, guys. Take care.
Will do.